Good.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Yeah. Ready? Okay, we're about to go on here.
I'm going on your Facebook Live.
You going? Don't. Oh, okay. All right. Good evening. You're live and on air with the Breakthrough with Justina Ingram. Hope everybody's having a fantastic Friday. I am myself. It's been a long day, but I'm happy to be here with you all today. So I want to go ahead and start off with some announcements. I know I was absent, and I know they replayed the show from last week, which was an awesome show. I wanted them to go ahead and play that with you with the lovely fellas that came on and gave their perspective about the pursuit of women. So it definitely was a good take on that. So the couple that I have, I was out of town perfecting my craft. And the news is that you have a local life coach now to assist you with your needs. And I'll be taking clients in March for women who are ready to make breakthroughs and break through these barriers. I'm here for that. So that's some good news out there. Another announcement is that in April, I'll be having a seminar. It will be about limiting beliefs. So I'll be go ahead and advertising that soon. Women and even men can go ahead and get tickets for that. So stay tuned for that. So tonight, I remember I had made a Facebook post, and it was a poll asking of the different shows coming up for the month of March. And so I know everybody wanted to hear Love Is, and the good news is that will be next Friday. That's going to be an awesome show. But tonight, I wanted to really do hurt people. That's the topic tonight. And I feel that this is something that I feel that people need to be informed about or aware, because it's something that it's a position that people take on and they don't even know they're in a situation. And me being myself on the receiving end and one of the people who projected it onto other people, I thought this was important for people to just be informed and understand it. And so I have two wonderful guests tonight who are joining me, who will be giving their take on this as well. I have Tirza Brooks. I met this lovely woman at an event. I seen her around at the gym that we go to, but I saw her at an event, and I just had a conversation with her, and I was like, this woman knows so much. I'm like, I'm going to definitely have her on my show. She seems like she's just definitely been through a lot and could provide a good perspective. So I have Tirza Brooks on the show. Welcome to the Breakthrough, Tirza.
Thank you, Justina. I didn't know you thought of me that way. That's very nice.
Yes, you made a great impact. This was during a Cowboys game, so the playoff game. So me and her just having like a grand conversation in the middle of the game.
Yeah.
It was an awesome moment for me. And so the next guest I have is someone who's he's been in my life for a couple of years. And I think when I first met him, he was unaware that I was in a bad place. And so he didn't know. I mean, I didn't seem to be, but he soon found out. And I just thought this person would be amazing for me to have on the show, because he's seen me from years back then to now, and he's going to provide perspective about certain things that I want his take on. So I have Rob Jones on the show. Welcome, Rob.
How you doing?
I have Rob Jones calling in. I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
See, Rob is such a good friend, everyone, because he dialed in. I got him Skyped in, so you'll be hearing him on the speaker on the phone. So we got Rob in. So we can go ahead and get started on this topic. This is a diverse topic. It can go multiple ways. So we're going to try to break it down tonight as good as we can. So Tirza, we can go ahead and start with you. What are the many ways that people hurt people? Because I know we spoke about this, how it can unintentionally damage relationships. What's your perspective on that?
Right, and I say that because of experience, of course,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of times people hurt others unintentionally, and I say we because, I've definitely been through it.
Right.
And me, I will abruptly end a relationship simply because I'm trying to avoid the hurt or the pain, but that ends up hurting the other person because I couldn't talk it through. And but we go into survival mode, and I'm gonna hurt you before you hurt me type of situation. Right. And not that we do it intentionally, But sometimes if we don't deal with the hurt or we don't communicate, it just makes the situation worse.
Yes.
And it's basically wanting to guard your heart, which isn't always a bad thing. But even as a hurt person, you want to avoid getting into relationships with other hurt people.
Right.
So what I did is I kind of, did a little research on unintentionally hurting people and some of the characteristics that we carry around
Okay.
as hurt people. One of the things that hurt people tend to do, which can be hurtful to others, is we tend to have sex a little too fast.
Oh wow! Oh my God! You saying that? No. Okay, you saying that? Earlier today, I had someone on my Facebook. He commented along those same lines, and so
Wow.
I will read his comment during the show. But go ahead and continue.
Okay. And so what we want to do is just be aware of a person when you first meet them, and they immediately want to jump in the bed.
Right.
We as women know that, initially this is how men start out.
Their nature.
Yes,
Yes.
definitely. And there's nothing wrong with that. But as women, we need to take a step back and just kind of be respectful, but let them know, hey, that's not what I'm about right now.
Mhm.
Can we get to know one another? So if they choose to stay, they stay.
Right.
If not, but I also think that in that situation, men could be hurt as well.
Right.
And so for them to want to jump in the bed with somebody, they don't even know.
Exactly.
That's
It's got to be a deep issue, deep-rooted issue. Rob.
Oh,
Yeah. So, Teresa pretty much said, sex is kind of one of the immediate things that hurt people kind of turn to. Do you agree with that?
right. You become emotionally attached to a person after sex. Definitely agree with that.
But do hurt people turn to people, just to have sex? Like they're going through something, so it's like a facade or a disguise to kind of cover what they're really feeling.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think that's what people do when, they're hiding behind something or going through something. They just use sex to make the situation better or just cope with whatever's going on in the situation at that time.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that they tend to be seducers, they're
Manipulators.
Oh, yeah.
Oh!
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the next thing you
Yes.
know, you are in a situation that you didn't intend to be in.
Yes. Wrapped in it.
And, yeah. And then once the relationship starts and you start to demand intimacy,
Oh.
then
Shut
that's
down. No, it's a problem. It's a problem.
right. Like, we never did establish the boundaries.
Yes.
So why are you expecting a relationship out of me? And it's like, wait a minute.
Yes.
I thought we was in a relationship
Right,
because we was having sex.
Yes, but when you're dealing with a hurt person, there's never a stable type of, I wouldn't even say relationship, it's not a stable situation you're coming into. They're doing stuff to feed off their needs, to neglect what they really have going on. You're just, at the time, the test dummy. Yeah. That's definitely powerful.
Wow.
Yes.
And then a second characteristic that, we as hurt people tend to carry is we complain about our past relationships,
Okay.
tending to not take responsibility for what you did to
Right.
contribute to the breakdown or whatever. And I had a relationship that I was in. I thought I was in a relationship. But but what I found is that he continuously talked about his ex-wife.
Okay.
And every single conversation that we had, and when I brought it up, he was like, no, I don't. I'm like, yes, you do.
Right.
You talk about her all the time. You say negative things about her.
Mhm.
What did you do wrong?
Right.
And what I found was over time, the truth started coming out. And I realized that she wasn't necessarily the bad person, but it was the things that he did to take her to a place where she got out of control.
Right. So I think you're explaining pretty much the average hurt person, which is someone who pretty much is affected by their last situation, and they're pretty much bringing it into the next one. So that's a good perspective that you have, because there's different ways that people hurt. And so you're speaking of the general, because I think that's the general. Everybody doesn't have deep-rooted issues and then they hurt somebody, but people have situations that have allowed them to hurt somebody else, or to bring it to the next situation. So I think that's a good perspective on that one.
Yeah. And basically you need to listen to what people say to you, because what they'll say is, I'm not good at having relationships, or I've never had a long-term relationship. Kind of beware of that
So
person.
those are signs.
Yeah.
Those are red flags.
Yes, red flags. Because at a certain age, if you haven't had a long-term relationship,
It's something going on with that.
yeah, because people want to be in relationships, and definitely healthy relationships. But when you're hurt, it's something that you continue to run from. You jump from person to person.
Keyword is something you run from. I like that.
Yeah. And then another characteristic is when somebody tells you that they're not ready for marriage, but you're on the track for marriage with them, and you don't hear it. And you just continue down this track with them.
Yes.
You spend 5, 6, 7 years with them waiting for that proposal, that ring, and then you're all, mad when
Invested.
Yeah. Oh, goodness.
Invested.
After all that time, you're definitely
Yes.
invested. So that's some of the characteristics that hurt people tend to carry. So some things that you should look out for when entering a relationship.
Right. So, y'all out there, she pretty much gave great perspective on people hurting and how that tends to carry on in relationships in different situations. And so I think that's a great way to start off this show, because that's the number one way I feel that people do carry on hurt. It shows in different other areas in their lives when they're meeting people. It's relationship to relationship, you're carrying it, you're not solving the problem.
Right.
And so I think that's awesome. So I want to dig deeper onto hurt people. So we have, because you're talking about hurt people, that's the surface, because I hurt you, I cheated on you, I hurt you, I lied to you. That's the surface hurt. But let's talk about the hurt of someone who might have had like deeper rooted issues. It could be abandonment. It could be from things that have happened in their childhood, let's say molestation. It could be rape. So let's say it's deeper rooted issues, and then those type of people who get in relationships and hurt, I think that's another type of level of what they tend to dish out to people beyond sex. I think it's another level of what they do with the people that they're with. And
Right.
so I think, what do you think about that level of hurt?
Yeah, and I can speak to that because being a child that did not grow up with her father,
Okay.
I had a serious abandonment issue. I knew of him, but I had never met him. Fortunately, I did meet him, once I became an adult. But growing up like that and just having that feeling of, why doesn't he want to be with me?
Right.
And why doesn't he want to meet me?
Right.
That I carried into my relationships.
So, I'll go ahead. So I was going to ask you, so what occurred?
Well, I would hold on to dysfunctional relationships because I didn't want to abandon, nor did I want to feel abandonment.
Okay.
So, as a divorcee, going through that, it really took me to a place where I felt totally abandoned, in my marriage, and even in the marriage, I felt abandoned. And then, of course, it got to a place where we ended up getting a divorce, but people carry that stuff around all the time, and it's like, how do you get over something like that?
How do you? So when someone tried to leave, what was your reaction to it? Because of the hurt that you carried from that, how did it, when someone did try to leave, what was your reaction? How did you project that?
Yeah, so it made me feel like I was less than, and that I was the one that was wrong in the relationship, and I would try to do whatever I could to save the relationship, overlooking infidelity,
Okay.
overlooking things that didn't sound right.
Okay.
Your money's going out, and I'm
Okay.
like, I address it, but I let it go.
Gotcha.
And then it piles up, and then there's a huge explosion because now we're at a place where we can't even turn back.
Right. So that's interesting that you say that. So, because there's different experiences that people have. So, to me, it's different to hear that because you weren't an aggressor. So the way you handle it, you were hurt, but you showed it by choosing to turn the other cheek on certain issues because that was how you handled it, and you weren't able to. I'm not going to say stand your ground, but you let things be as they were.
Yeah, in a way. Now, I'm not going to say that I wasn't the aggressor.
It sounds like you stood down. So I'm like, so she wasn't there.
No, but even in my aggression, I still would stand down.
To an extent, so he wouldn't
Yes,
leave.
right,
Okay.
right.
Gotcha. That's a different that's a different perspective. So, mine is kind of total opposite because I had a different experience, you know, that titled me as a hurt person. At the time, I didn't realize it, but again, that's why I have Rob on here today. We're gonna get back to you for a second, Rob. So,
Right.
so I have my own experiences where, you know, I didn't have abandonment issues, but I did, you know, I was molested when I was younger. And so the way that I was with men, you know, it was definitely on another level. I was an aggressor. I was a manipulator. I was angry. And at the time, you're not aware of what you're doing because, I mean, you're doing anything to get the attention off of you. Nothing is your fault. You know, you already feel like things were your fault. So you're like, oh, if they tell me that the way I'm acting is wrong, then it's going to be a problem. And so at the time, I was numb and I was just going through the motions. And so I wasn't aware of what I was doing to people until it was brought to my attention. And so, you know, I'm taking a risk here, but I brought Rob on to kind of give you a perspective on what a hurt person does in a situation like that. You know, what they're feeling, you know, how bad does it get? And this might help people uncover if they're really with a hurt person. Because sometimes people think that the situation, people are getting one over them or treating them bad, and they're not knowing that it could be a deeper issue. You might be a person of, I'm gonna say a victim, because you are a victim. You might be a victim of a hurt person, because it can get real ugly, you know. So Rob, what did you experience or what did you witness when I was in that place?
I'm a very angry person. I was in a dark place, definitely. Always lashing out. Always thinking you were right. Ready to, you go off on anybody.
Okay.
So, you know, I've seen it personally. And to see that you act like that is like, what's going on with her? you definitely lost it. And not understanding, okay, well, there's some kind of deep-rooted issue here with her, and she's not willing to share it.
Mm-hmm.
And although I would ask, like, what's going on with you, you wouldn't express that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and, you know, seeing you interact with other people, if they didn't agree with what Justina agreed with, then it didn't, you know, exist to you. And, you know, they had to believe how you believe.
Right.
And if not, that is definitely wasn't going to sit well with you.
Right.
And you let them know that you didn't care about anybody's feelings.
Yeah.
Whatever you said was what you said, and you meant it.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah. I do remember, I think one time I came to you and I was like, I said, why he so hurt? You know, and I was really, I couldn't understand, you know, why a person was like hurting so bad. Like I really, at the time, you know, you're numb and you're going off on people, saying the most hurtful things, projecting so much anger on them. And then you know, and I remember cutting people off and getting to a place where I didn't even care that I hurt them. And I didn't have understanding for that. And I know you used to try to tell me all the time, you know, how wrong I was, but I honestly could never see it.
Right.
And so it definitely was something just real. I mean, did I ever project that on you?
I don't think you projected that on me. No, I don't believe so. I definitely don't believe so. What do you feel? Do you feel like you did?
Of course. What you mean? Of course. But I think that because you were my friend, you know, it wasn't something that, you know, you kind of held against me. You know, you kind of treated me like I had problems, to be honest. And so you you were very delicate. You were very delicate with me. So, I mean, I don't know if that's good or bad, because when you were delicate with me, it made me feel like what I was doing was not too bad. So I kind of kept doing it. And so it also, which brings me to my next point, that sometimes people are scared to confront a hurt person, mm-hmm. and let them know what they're doing is wrong, or let them know, put a mirror to their face, because they don't want to get their head chewed off. They don't want to get it. You know, people around hurt people are even scared to ask questions or even offer opinion, because a hurt person doesn't want to face themselves.
Right. And it's interesting that you say that, because mm-hmm. I've encountered women like that, mm-hmm. and often wondered, like, what in the world is wrong with her? Why is she so negative toward other people, mm-hmm. say things are hurtful, and you're
Mhm.
like, do you not know that what you just said is hurtful?
Right.
And then, and being in a situation personally, confronting that person, because when she said something to me, I'm like, I'm going to say something
Right.
back. So here we are about to get into a fight,
Mhm.
me not looking at it like maybe there's something wrong with her.
Right.
But on the flip side of that, because when Rob says that he didn't feel like you projected that on him, I often wondered how women like that maintain relationships, because they would have a man that would be so loyal,
Ugh.
but everybody else around her is miserable.
Right. And sometimes, and for me, the reason why I remained that way for so long is because the guys that I was dealing with at the time were very accommodating to my situation. They didn't make me feel like anything was wrong. I'd cuss them out, cut them off, and they would still want to be with me. So how can I know I'm doing something wrong when you're accepting it?
Wow.
And so I feel like this is important for people to know, like, as long as you're accepting a person to be hurt and to project it on you, then they're going to remain in that place. And I think that was why I remained in it for so long. And you introduced the show by saying, someone who been out of a relationship for so long, clearly there was some problems.
Right.
And that was me. I have, went in a relationship for, 3 years, because I just couldn't figure out what was going wrong. I was sad most of the time because I was like, why don't people understand me? It just really was like a horrible feeling, to go through.
Did you think it was everybody else?
Oh, it was everybody but me. I'm like, why can't he just do right? Like, I'm telling him what to do. Like, it used to piss me off to the point where I'm like, what is wrong with these people? Like, it's not me. It was never me for years,
Wow.
Until someone told me, somebody bold
Really?
told me, like, you need to understand that you're the problem. I'm like, excuse me?
Well, how did you receive it?
Oh, how would I receive it? It was definitely not good. I still didn't receive it from him, but for him to put it in my face, I thought about it.
Mhm.
But I didn't take a man serious on anything he had to tell me. I'm like, it must not be that serious because you're still here. But I think the time that I did receive it was when it came from another source who didn't even know I was going through that. I had went to church. I went to Bible study, and we were discussing projection and everything. She said, I was like, yes, that is me. I'm like, I do that? Like, oh my God. It was like it impacted me because I didn't know I was like that. It was very ugly to see that, to know that I was doing that to people and hurting people. And after that whole, because it was a one of those called when you have them in church back to back. It was just multiple.
Revival?
It was like a revival. It was multiple, it was regarding that issue. So I was getting healing, and then when I was done with it, I felt miserable and hurt because I was feeling bad for the people that I hurt, because they would express their hurt to me and I wouldn't care. And so it just really hurt me, and so that's how I really knew that I was really in a better place, because I felt what they felt, and I was like, wow, like, I can't believe, I did those things or whatever. So it's definitely...
So did you make amends with all the people?
I tried. I did. Like, Rob, for one, I apologized to him he was like, you didn't really do anything. But, like, trust me, I did. It's things that I know that I did. And so it was definitely...
You knew your heart. I
knew my heart. Exactly. I'd call other people back, and they, open to hear it. But, it's just... I did make amends with most people that I could, but more so it was making amends with myself, forgiving myself for what I did and why I did it, and having an understanding. So it definitely was work. It is work.
I'll bet. I mean, definitely I know that it's work, and it's a continual work when you're dealing with deep-rooted issues from childhood.
Yes.
And being able to look at those head on and say, okay, this is what happened to me, but I'm not going to let it define me in a negative way.
Or affect anybody else.
Yes.
Yes, that's very important. And so Rob, I know earlier we were talking about another way that hurt people is retaliation.
Right.
And so I know you had an experience with that. Go ahead and share your experience with that.
Mine was due to being hurt.
Okay.
So every relationship I had after that was never going to be a good relationship, and I made sure that. So everybody would have to feel my wrath, After that relationship, because I had, it formed me to have trust issues. That I felt like I was hurt that bad, and I made that an excuse with every relationship that I had, that I couldn't trust anybody. That all women did the same thing, and I allowed that to ruin every possibly good relationship that I could have had. So that was definitely a bad time for me.
Have you recently experienced a woman who pretty much took you to that place? She was hurt, so because when I mean by retaliation is you hurt her, so she's hurting you back.
Yeah, I definitely believe that's happened.
Share.
Due to me not being who I needed to be for her at the time. I guess her feeling that way. So maybe just not having her father around in her life. She felt that.
Look,
She was
that's like
abandoned.
something I want to listen to.
Yeah, you gotta dig. Go on, continue, Rob.
She, was abandoned. So, I guess the opening up to me, the not wanting to communicate, when I was there to actually try to communicate with a person. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay.
So she said she didn't want to communicate with a person, but there's more to it. So since she had issues with her dad,
Well, she never knew her dad.
Okay.
So it was just basically me trying to find out what her deep issues were, and not being able to really get in close. I guess.
So how did that affect your progress? I think it's interesting how. So let's say you're dealing with a person that's hurt, and they have these up and coming issues where they're not learning they don't know the tools. They don't have the tools. So how does that play out in the relationship?
Say that one more time.
So you have a person who you said she never had a relationship with her dad wasn't around.
Right.
And so that means essentially she didn't have the tools to know how to be with a man. So how does that play out in a relationship or a situation with somebody on the receiving end?
On the receiving end, it's going to go downhill, because if they've never seen an actual relationship, a healthy relationship, everything, nothing's going to be serious to them. So it seems like it's going to be jumping from person to person, just to fill that void that they possibly had. That's what I believe.
Okay.
And that's, I kind of see that, and I've seen that in that relationship, and I've seen that in relationships before. That definitely happens, and you're doing nothing but hurting the person you're actually that's actually trying to help you.
Right.
Or trying to make the situation better. But
so let's
that filling that void is definitely something that was happening from jumping from person to person, doing what they wanted to do.
right. Let's touch on that phrase you said, filling voids, because I think that's very, very a well-known coping tool that hurt people use is filling voids.
Absolutely.
You agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
Right.
Yeah, because I always felt like I did not want to be alone.
yeah,
And in feeling that way, it's like I always ended up alone.
right.
But even in my relationships, like I said before, I felt alone because I felt like I wanted that person there with me all the time. And that was my way of expressing love, or the way you can tell me you love me is to always be here.
Right.
And I always felt like any little thing that I did, he wanted to break up with me. So I just broke up with him, or I would lash out and do things to sabotage the relationship.
Girl, don't have me shouting over here, because you said everything that I think, but in a different situation. And so that is powerful to avoid feeling your belief or your experience, because that's a fear. Your fear is abandonment. And I guess since, my fear from what I experienced was kind of being vulnerable and being taken advantage of. If anybody tried to get to know me or get in my zone, I would lash out on them like it was their fault. So it's like a protective thing.
Right. Yeah, and I would do that as well. But it was just me needing to feel love, not knowing what love really was. And the love of a man. Now, I did have a stepfather growing up, but it was always different.
Right.
I appreciated everything that he did because he was definitely there for us. But not having the love of a father is just something that I guess I have it now, but I don't know how to receive it from him.
Right.
But he wants to step into my life and be the daddy, but it's kind of too late.
Right, at this point.
Yeah, or maybe if I let go, I'll figure out how a man is really supposed to treat a woman. You can know in theory
Right.
how he's supposed to treat you, but in real life, I just
It's a
could
whole
not
other-
recognize
whole
it.
other thing.
Mhm.
And so I want to touch on that because we've discussed, the hurt, different way people hurt, how they project it, what they feel. So I'm sure everybody's wondering out there, what is the solution? And so you said the key word, and I think I kind of said it in a way too. It's understanding, and a hurt person has to understand what they're doing. They have to understand why they're doing it. And I think because you're the way you're talking to me is that you have understanding, so you're knowing what you're doing and why you're doing it. So you're on the other side. You're not back where you were,
Right.
where you were just in a mix. You're on the other side. You're like, I know what what I did. I know what I'm aware. I'm aware, and so you can act accordingly.
Aware, yeah.
You're aware. And me, I was not aware until it was brought to my attention. So I feel like people out there who might fit some of these symptoms, or it's never too late. I have Ashley, she just said that. It's never too late to uncover it or to recognize that you're doing it, because a hurt person is miserable.
Right.
Like, let's not, they don't want to face that. They're miserable, and they definitely want to understand why they're the way they are. So the solution is to get understanding, from another source. I think the source should not be anyone that's near and dear to you who's witnessed your behavior, but an outside source.
Yeah.
You to receive it better, and then ultimately you'll recognize what you've done. You'll heal, and you'll be able to, get clarity and be better. What do you think a solution is for a hurt person?
Well, I think first we have to know that we're not perfect, and at a certain point in life you have to know that it's not everybody else.
Right.
So if you have the same behaviors being thrown at you, or the same behaviors that you're exhibiting in your relationships, whether it be your boyfriend or family members, because even in family situations we hurt one another. We're all hurt because of the things that happened to us when we were kids.
Right.
And we continue to lash out because of it. And so, just looking inwardly, and of course, making God the head of your life, and
Right.
praying.
Most importantly.
Yeah, and praying that He reveals some things in you.
Yes.
And that's how, that seed was planted in you at first from your friend,
Right.
and then you heard it from a stranger.
Yes.
And it was probably planted in you from several people.
Yeah, it really was playing. It just didn't stick, so it did become with that. So that's a good perspective. Brad, what about you? What you think the solution is to a hurt person?
Say it again.
What do you think the solution is to a hurt person?
Forgiveness. Definitely forgiveness.
Wow.
Forgiving themselves, or forgiving the person that hurt them?
And forgiving yourself. And, my phone's breaking in now. Can you hear me?
No, you're good.
Okay, yeah. First off, you have to forgive yourself. Because if you don't forgive yourself, nothing's going to go right.
Right.
Definitely.
Right.
And, whatever got you to that point of feeling that way, you have to, forgive that person, or, whoever got you to that point.
Right.
Everybody has to be forgiven. You have to ask for forgiveness. That's basically it on my end. Just
That's-
forgiveness part.
That's a good combination. It's a good
Say it
combination.
again?
I said, no, I'm saying that's a good combination of all our perspectives on that.
Right.
Yes, that sounds good. We definitely broke that issue down, so I'm sure I do have a lot of questions coming into my inbox. I've been watching it on my phone. So we're going to take a break right now, and then we're going to go out and let the people ask questions revolving this topic or any other questions they may have. So we'll be right back. How y'all feeling? You still there, Rob?
Yeah, I had pulled in the parking lot and police pulled in and pulled behind. Want to know why I'm sitting up here, so.
Y'all have any questions? Send them to my inbox or comment. I'm about to go on Facebook and check my inbox. Rob, you don't have to stay on if you don't want to. You're about to just answer questions unless you want to stay on for that.
Say that again.
We're about to answer questions and stuff. About to punch you.
You know I'm doing this to mess with you, but no, but I hear you. I'm gonna say
Okay. I'm gonna bust you.
Hey, I'm trying to get that side out of you real quick.
Yeah, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna work. What you say? You listening? Don't bust you.
That's a good question.
Oh
How do I
yeah.
deal with a passive aggressive manipulator?
Oh dang. I'm one of those people. I was.
Wow.
All right. Rashad, how do I deal with it? Let me write it down. Can you pass me my water? Thank you. You gonna be paying attention, Rob? Y'all, please send it to my inbox so I can read them. I have some. How are you gonna okay, how am I interrupt? Case, how am I interrupt you? I interrupt while he's explaining the popos. Okay, this is not the time. How do I do? We're off air, by the way. We're on pause. We're on a commercial right now. How do I deal with a passive aggressive manipulator? That's interesting. That was once me. Oh, I can answer. I'm gonna answer that. As a passive aggressive. Even if you have questions for Tirza, because she gave a good perspective for women who have been abandoned, you know. And I think this is a great opportunity for women. Why am I turning on the microphone? I think this is a good opportunity for women who have those same issues or dealing with abandonment to you know, inbox me and ask her. Aggressive manipulator. All right. Yeah. Kia Woodson is paragraphs. If you have a good relationship, then don't try to force yourself. Really don't try to the next person. Take the time to hear yourself. So, you know, okay, that's a statement. What you laughing at?
Okay.
Kay and Kia, you would send paragraphs. No, I'm reading her questions. That's kind of her perspective was just add for hurt people who hurt people and blatantly know what they're. This is for you. We'll take that one. Okay.
Blatantly know.
Right. All right, we're about to get back on. All right, we are back on. It's time to answer questions that we have. So I have a good one sent. I'm about to send another good one sent. He asked, how do I deal with a passive-aggressive manipulator? So, I'm going to go ahead and answer that one for you, Rashad, because I was once that person. And I'll answer it from a perspective of how I would have wanted them to deal with me. So to deal with a person that's like that, it would require patience. Foremost, it would require you to walk away. You definitely don't want to be in the mix with someone like that because it'll never settle. You know, it'll never settle because somebody in that state doesn't want anybody to fix them. Most people, I think hurt people hate fixers.
Ooh.
You know, hurt people hate fixers. So don't try to be a fixer in a situation. You need to kind of remove yourself or give that person the space to have that discovery. You can be present, but don't be trying to be overly involved because this is something that they have to figure out for themselves. So I would recommend that you keep your distance, but not be too far because then anything's going to seem like it's your fault. So don't ever feel guilt. You know, just remain humble in who you are and know that anything you do is not your fault. So, you know, keep your distance, but be there, but don't try to be the fixer. You can support them in what they do and be there for them, but don't try to be. I think the most important thing is not being a fixer. What do you think?
Yeah, I think people get caught up in, as a hurt person,
Mm-hmm.
you may be with a person that's hurt,
Mhm.
and then as a hurt person, you want to fix everyone else.
Exactly.
You want to go into a person's life, be Captain Sable,
Mhm.
and try to force that person to see things from a different perspective. But like you said, you don't want to be fixed,
Right.
And you are not going to see it from the people that are closest to you.
Right, you're not. That's important. Rob, how would you deal with a manipulator, passive, aggressive person? Rob. Lost an extra. We won't be able to get that. But people, okay. So we'll go ahead and go to the next question. This one's directed to you, Tirza.
Hold on. Where did it go?
Okay.
Okay.
So Kay said, what perspective would Tira add for hurt people who hurt people blatantly,
Mhm.
knowing that they're hurting them?
That's the thing. And after I read that question, it brought me to a video that I watched today.
Okay.
And you guys may have seen the video. It was about a couple talking over the end of their relationship.
Okay.
And so the girl and the guy, they were facing one another, and she asked him why,
Mhm.
and he told her the truth about what he was doing, all the cheating that he did, and she basically wanted to know why. And he said, because we were in two different places. And one of the things that he asked her, and I thought, wow, that was a powerful question.
Mhm.
He was like, so I hurt you, and I took you through a lot of pain. Why did you stay?
Oh.
And I thought to myself,
Oh.
I had to ask myself that question. And as women, and that again, it goes to that, wanting to fix people.
Right.
Well, if he's cheating, then if I do this and that, then maybe,
Right.
I can help him not cheat.
Right.
However the situation is. But when people blatantly hurt you or hurt other people,
Mhm.
I think it's time to disconnect from that person.
Right.
So my question is, why do you stay around people that blatantly hurt
Hurt
you?
you.
Yeah.
Reversal. that's a good way to question that, because it's the people who stay around in situations, people who stay with her people, they might have, that's another thing, they might have issues themselves where they're used to that type of person,
Mm-hmm.
and they're used to those, like, people who treat them bad, and so that's why they put themselves in those situations. That's a powerful perspective.
Yeah. I mean, you may have grown up in an abusive home,
Mhm.
so that's what makes you feel comfortable,
Mhm.
or you make excuses for it,
Right.
thinking it's the norm,
Right.
but it's not, because you're hurting.
Right. That's two of those people together, because I was in a situation like that. I think I dated a guy last year, and he had issues with his mom.
Mm.
And so he had those issues, and he was projecting abandonment issues and anger issues, and I'm projecting vulnerability issues. I can't give him what his needs. It's just a bam, boom, like
Right.
that's
Right.
so it's definitely toxic, and you want to recognize that up early on. I think it's smart. I think there's a way where you can fill somebody out without getting too much in their business. And I think the secret, because this is my secret, is to ask them about their family history.
Yes.
How are you with your mom? How are you with your dad?
Yes.
And that will tell you everything you need to know.
Yes, and I had a relationship like that
Mhm.
where the guy was so put together,
Mhm.
honey. He had everything.
Ah.
Like, he was a pastor. He was a politician. He was a professor. He had all the P's together.
Yes.
And so on paper, he was,
He
I
checked
was
out.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
But as the relationship progressed, he got more and more aggressive.
Mhm.
And when he got upset, he would scream and just yell at me. And I thought, okay, this is not normal, because
Right.
I've never been in a relationship like that. So I just didn't know what to do.
Mhm.
And so eventually it got to a point where I was like, okay, I can't continue to do this. But there were signs.
Yes, there
And
are always
I
signs.
ignored them. Literally, articles in the newspaper
Yes.
about his misbehavior and
Yes.
how he treated other people.
Yes.
And that one of the other things on my list is how do they treat other people?
Right.
So when he would lash out it up, he was that quiet, and but I one day I just said that's it,
Right.
and I walked away.
That's powerful that you said that, because there are signs, and I think they are shown at the beginning. When someone tells you, I'm not saying when a guy or a girl tells you, hey, I have my mother or my father left me. Everybody knows that that's like it's going to be problems. So it's not run, but it's just understand that it's not going to be easy,
Right.
and know how to, if you're not. No one's really ready to be in situations like that, but if you don't think you're strong enough to handle that, then don't get in it.
Right.
So I think identifying at the beginning when people's background or what they say, their relationship status says everything on what their wants. I don't want anybody right now. I'm just, then,
Right.
that's a red flag.
They told you.
They told you, but you still wanted to have hope. I think people go wrong by having that hope.
Right. Right. Oh, I can change him.
He's not gonna think that forever. No, if a guy tells you that, if a woman tells you that, then that's serious.
That is a red flag. But
Yes.
like you said, you have to know a person's background and just bring it up casually, because that's what we do early on in relationships. And that's the thing. He told me he had a horrible relationship with his father,
Oh.
and that was the key. So I should have just.
Those are the keys. They're literal keys. Like, I think people should really take those into consideration. Later on, you can dig deep, but just know it means something.
Right.
It means something. So that was definitely, that's a good question that got us in the circle. So I have other questions coming in. We're about to take another break, and we'll be right back. Thank you.
Who's on my Spotify right now? So that's who's on my Spotify.
With this song for this moment, I don't know where Rob went. Oh well, Rob had to exit. He having some technical difficulties.
So he's driving, he's totally going in and out.
I'm sorry, y'all, who's sending in questions. If they're like a paragraph, I can't maneuver those on the show. So, doing my best. Yeah, let me get back on it. I'll conclude it. Unless I get some other questions. I can't read.
Did she say something else? Is that a follow-up?
She's still sending paragraphs. I can't read all that. Okay, you really love sending paragraphs. I can't read that. We're on a break. If y'all have any questions before I close the show, go ahead and send them in. We'll be back in about 2 minutes.
Oh, she wrote on the page. Yeah, Stockholm Syndrome.
I am a break on air, not live Facebook, Mom. She said, why are you still on live if you're on a break? On break on air. Somebody have something. I always tell my friends, y'all don't ask me questions, make it free. We're about to close it down, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in on the breakthrough, y'all.
Hope y'all learned something.
You have a big ego.
Oh my God, yes, I had a big ego. We can talk about that. I had a huge ego. I still do got an ego.
We're getting a good way now.
I'm actually working on it. Like I used to just act as if it wasn't true. Sorry, sister. But yeah, no, I'm working on it in a positive. It's a positive way, and now I think I'm aware. Saying that. Hey, Shelly. Hey, Dr. Wiggly. Professor Wiggly. Yes, Rashad, send all the lovely women, not crazy girls, send the lovely women my way. I'll definitely work with them. I would love to do that. All right, we are back on the breakthrough. So we had a couple of questions that were sent in. We definitely, me and Tirza got to talking more, and she had asked me, did I have an ego? And I think that was an important thing. I think that was a good question, because I had one then, I still have one now, but it's more, I told her it was more managed. Did you have an ego?
No, but that was one of the points that I was going to make is hurt people tend to have big egos.
Yes.
And some have been so hurt that they overcompensate for, the lack of self-esteem and what they go through in life. And that's some of the characteristics that I noticed with hurt women and even hurt men. It's hard for anybody to tell you anything in any situation. It doesn't matter. And also, and as I'm talking about this, I'm like, I think somebody told me that I think I knew everything, but not in a big ego type of way.
Yeah.
I don't know. So, just talking this through helps me to kind of pick up on some of the things that I have been doing.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's never too late to learn about yourself. I think that's a day-to-day basis in people's lives. It's never too late to learn things about yourself. And it's just better if you're going to replace to receive the information and what you learn about yourself. I think that's what's important. I heard my phone going out. We got some questions coming in. She says, what would it take for a hurt person to change or recognize their behaviors? Yeah, see, we didn't even touch on that. I think from my perspective, I'll get yours. For a hurt person to want to change or recognize their behaviors. When they're tired of what they feeling, that feeling they have inside. I think with me, I was tired of not understanding what was wrong with me. I was tired of being alone, if you will, because I was alone, even though I was, getting to know people, I was still alone. You're not really having the same type of relationships that no one else is really having. It's all, nothing works. So you'll finally get tired of nothing going right, and you'll want to know what the problem is. So I think when you get to that part of your life, you will really just want to seek ways of figuring out what's going on with you. What do you think?
Right. I agree. When you get to a place in life where you are so tired of having the same results because you're doing the same thing, and you have to kind of have some quiet time to yourself and maybe even write down some of the things that you've gone through in your life. And that's what I used to do. It's I would write and get some things out and then go back and read it and look at it from a different perspective and realize that these are some of the things that hurt me and some of the reasons why I tend to keep people at a distance. Because like I said before, at the first inkling of you trying to do anything that I perceive as wrong to me, I will lock you out. When they invented block on cell phones, I was number one, and I figured out to block your phone calls, your text messages, block emails, block you on Facebook. Like,
You can boot them out.
block queen.
Boot them out with no guilt because they can't tell you how they feel about it.
Yeah, and I stopped doing that because it kept me from resolving the situation
Boom.
and talking about it.
I love that you said that because one of my friends, she's real good on blocking people. I've always told her I've never been the type to block anyone. I think that adults should be able to come to a place where they don't have to, force someone out their life. I believe that I haven't never had to block anyone because they have complete understanding of why I don't want to have it in my life anymore. Why I don't agree with people who block other people. I think there's a way that you can get to a place to discuss why you don't think each other should be, tied together or around each other. I think that's...
I never could get to that place of discussing it. I felt like I felt like I already discussed it several times. And if you don't get it by now, then this block message that you're gonna get.
So if they don't understand, then you got to go to those measures. But I think initially you should at least try. And if that doesn't work, then you got to do what you got to do.
Right.
Some people don't even ask questions and just say, no, I'm through with them, block.
Right.
But people,
that's hurtful.
You got to have compassion. It's very hurtful. You have to have compassion for people, and it's a maturity thing. You got to have compassion for people, even if they've done you wrong. You can communicate to them what they did and why you no longer want them in your life.
Right.
And then you can go on with your business, but at least they know. And then everybody can, go their own ways. So it's a way to go about it.
Yeah, because back then it felt good in my hurt, to hurt them back.
Right.
And so, I realize that now, and I realize that I damaged some really good relationships, not being able to work through the issues because, I could still have a relationship with someone to this day if I wasn't so closed off.
Right. It does help to just communicate. That's a key to everything is communication. I think that's very important. But I truly thank you, Terza, for joining me today with your perspective. I think you shed light to a lot of women with what happened to you and what you've experienced. So I was definitely happy to have you on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Justina. And your story was an encouraging one as well to help me to be able to recognize that in other people and figure out ways to just kind of deal with it without being, aggressive or trying to fix that person.
Right. That's good. I'm glad we could help each other. And so today was definitely great to me because now I feel people do have an understanding on that topic. They can know how to go about it. They can recognize if they're in the situation. I think it was very helpful and informative. Next week, I'm going to have two wonderful guys on my show. I'm going to have Cedric Bailey. I'm going to have Peter on here, and we're going to all discuss love, what love is. And that's going to be a very interesting topic. I think it's going to go different ways, but it's going to be a really good topic. So stay tuned for that. And once again, I thank everybody for joining The Breakthrough, and I will see you again next Friday at 5 p.m. Thank you. Yeah, we did good. You did good. I will not have. It was just a conversation. I ain't even calling in unless ain't nobody else calling in. It worked, but it's just like
cell phones are so finicky that you just don't know when you're gonna drop a call and the person can't hear you. But he was saying, I hear